welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Anna, and another month has gone by, which means that I'm here to talk about all the books I read in February, and yes, people, I am late. I'm usually not late, but this time, I'm only filming this in the 5th of March, which, you know, it's not that late. It could have been filmed sooner, but alas, I didn't really have time. I didn't have the motivation, if I'm being honest as well. So, I'm only filming this right now, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about all of the books I read in February, and all of the books that I do want to read in March. So, the first book that I actually finished in the month of February was a little novella called Citrine Key, and I do not remember the author's name. I think it's MacRae, it's something of that sort. I don't know why I just cannot remember authors' names for the life of me, but it is going to be here on the screen, and I give this one a 3-star. This is solid. It is just a novella, and that is why, you know, with novellas, I don't tend to enjoy them as much because I'm always missing more, you know, and this novella, I think it had 100 pages, probably, maybe even less. So you did get to know a little bit of these characters and a little bit of this world, and I found the world building fascinating because here we do have some sort of spirits of the land, and all the spirits come in the form of a dragon. And I don't need to say more, okay? I don't need to say more. When I heard dragons, I was completely sold because, of course, as a fantasy fan, I have to love dragons. And I just found it very interesting how these spirits, you do not mess with them, okay? These are very, very dangerous. I don't want to say creatures because they are spirits, but, you know, they're just very dangerous entities, and you just don't really want to cross their paths. But these characters have been installed with a mission of trying to find the spirit of a certain desolate land. It's very wintry, which I love. I also love the snow, and I love the cold, and they have to give this dragon, this spirit. I don't want to say what it is, but it is a key, okay? It's in the title, okay? I'm sorry for this little spoiler, but it is a key, and the key is very important. They don't know what it is, they don't know what the key does, but all they know is they have to deliver this key to the dragon so the dragon can eat it and absorb the magic, because the queen of this realm is very afraid of that key. And it's afraid of the power that it holds. So she literally sends 3 characters that nobody really cares about because 2 of them were criminals. So she's like, you know what? Here's the key. If you want to be forgiven, if you want your crimes to be forgotten, you have to do this for me. So she literally sends them to a desolate land, very cold, very wintry, to give this very powerful artifact to a spirit. And like I said, the spirits are very volatile. They are not nice at all. So of course, everything just goes downhill. And we do find that this key has a little bit, not a curse, but it's calling to you. You know, it wants to go back to where it belongs. And our characters have to find out, and they sense that pulsation, and they're like, should we follow this? Probably not, honestly. So I was intrigued, and this is a novella, you know, it's a prequel to the actual trilogy, which I am very, very excited about. Honestly, even though it was a 3-star, I'm still excited about this world because, like I said, I just wanted more. It wasn't that the world wasn't interesting or the characters weren't interesting. It was just, I wanted more. And the second book I read in the month of February was actually a disappointment, which is so sad to say. I read She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan, and I gave this 3 stars. And I actually thought this was going to be a 5-star read for me because I usually love Asian literature. I just love the way they craft the characters, the way they talk about their growth, their character development. I just think they are very, very good when it comes to character arcs. But in this book in particular, I just didn't really find that. In this premise, we follow Zhu, and she is a woman, you know, in very early China. I think this is based on the Chinese against the Mongol people. I think, you know, do not come for me because I'm not good at history. I don't really even like history. I'm not really good at it. But that is the gist of what I got. So, of course, women in this time weren't seen as, you know, anyone important. You were just a woman. That's all you were. The only purpose you had was to bear children, and specifically sons. If you didn't really bear any sons, you were deemed useless. And Zhu, she understood this very early in her life because she had an older brother, and her father gave all the attention to him. But one day, actually tragedy strikes because her father and her brother die of starvation. And what she decides to do is, okay, I'm a woman. I understand that my destiny is nothing. It's basically nothing. I'm never going to be anything. I'm going to steal my brother's identity and actually become someone. So we do have some sort of Mulan narrative, and that just made me even more excited for this. But my biggest issue with this book was the writing. In fact, I thought the writing was very clunky, and clunky in the sense of the structure, exactly. The structure and the pacing. I do understand that, of course, we do have to go through several years to see how Zhu grows up, where she grows up, the values that were instilled in her. I do understand that, and I do understand that if Zoo wants to become someone great, you know, like a war general, because that is her main goal. She wants to become one of the greatest, and she understands that only war generals are great, or emperors, empresses, you know, just important people. And for that to happen, of course, years have to go by, but because of that, I just couldn't really connect with Zoo as the main character, and the writing was also very repetitive. And what I mean by this is every single chapter where we followed Zoo, she would just always say the same thing. She would always reiterate her goal and her motive, which was to become someone great. And I already know, you know, like in the beginning, ever since the beginning of this book, I know that that is one of her goals, is to become someone great. So I understand that every decision that she makes is about that. I don't need the author to constantly keep reminding me that that's what she's doing. And it was just the same thing over and over and over again. And I got tired of it. I was just so tired of Zoo at one point, because I'm like, I get it. You know, I get it. You want to be great. I don't need you to keep repeating this to me. And also another thing, I didn't really like following other points of view, and the reason for this is because, one, I had the expectation, you know, I was just expecting to follow Zoo, but the other reason is because I think the other characters didn't really add anything to the main plot. In fact, I do understand that we were seeing, you know, other people, and how those other people also suffered from discrimination, because we follow another female character, and she's also, you know, seen as unimportant. Nobody really cares about her opinion, what she thinks, what she doesn't think. And of course, we do realize that women have a lot more to say than the men think. But we also follow another man, but he's an eunuch, which means that he is not even seen as an actual man, as a real man. And he's also very beautiful, so people often look at him, and I don't want to say they see a woman, but almost. They put his worth close to a woman's. So of course, it is interesting to follow a man that has the same experience as a woman. Although he is a great war general, he is so frowned upon, and everyone just steps on him. Nobody really likes him. It just didn't really add anything to the main plot, to the main narrative, and that's why I was just, okay, whatever, you know. So this book was just a very, very big disappointment for me, and I don't know if anyone else feels this way, because first of all, nobody really talks too much about this book. I haven't seen a lot of people reading this, and I actually found this recommendation from the Throne of Pages channel, and she loved the duology, and I'm a little bit sad that I didn't love it, because I generally thought it was going to be a 5-star, but if you have read this book, please let me know if I'm the only one that thinks this way. And lastly, for this month, I actually tried to read a middle grade, which was Skandar and the Unicorn Thief. I don't know the author's name. Again, it's going to be here. But this one was very disappointing. And here's the thing. I do review middle grade with a different mindset, because, of course, I'm not going to be as demanding. The only thing that I demand is little Anna enjoying this book. And the problem is, not even little Anna would have enjoyed this book. And the reason for this, it's because of two main things. Number one, the plot was very predictable. I just predicted everything from the beginning, you know, like I think I wasn't even halfway through when I predicted everything that was going to happen, which is very, very sad to say, but that really hindered the enjoyment of the book, because this book is particularly plot forward. If it wasn't just plot forward, you know, if the book wasn't mainly pushed by the plot, I wouldn't have, you know, been bothered by figuring out everything that was going to happen. But because it's such a plot focused book, I didn't mind, you know, and I also, because of that, I also missed the interactions with the characters, because in this book we follow Skandar, and in this world you have wild unicorns, and they are actually pretty dangerous. You know, wild unicorns, they are dangerous. They are very bloody type of creatures. They eat anything that moves, basically. But if you are destined for a unicorn, you know, because one of the weirdest things in this world is that unicorns are, you know, born from eggs, which, what the hell, that to me was just so creepy, because it is a mammal. I don't know, I just never thought that unicorns could be born from eggs, you know? But the moment the egg is conceived, there is already a rider destined for him. So what they do is, every single year, when the children are, I think it's 13 exactly, they go to the island where the unicorns live, because Skandar lives in the continent. He goes to the island, and of course he does have a unicorn destined for him, so that's when the egg hatches, and because the unicorn has someone destined to him, it doesn't become as wild as the other unicorns that weren't destined for riders. It is still a pretty dangerous creature. It is still very bloody, but it is a lot more tame than the wild unicorn. So Skandar goes to the island. He goes to this school. He starts learning everything about how to become a unicorn rider, and they also go on these competitions, on these races, and they also use elemental magic, and it sounds very, very cool. But the problem was, I wanted to see more of Skandar with his friends, you know, because it's a completely new school. He's in a completely new environment. He left his father behind, his older sister behind, and he didn't really have anyone. And he did of course, find a group of friends, but I wanted to see more interactions from the group of friends. I wanted to see him train a lot more, and all we got was, just 1 year, and it was always plot centered. We always had things happening, obstacles coming up for the main plot, which, of course, there is a unicorn thief. There is someone that is actually stealing the unicorns to build an army. That is interesting, but I just wanted to see the more heartfelt moments of Skandar. I wanted to see him train. I wanted to see more of the magic system because, like I mentioned, it is an elemental magical system, which I absolutely love. I love water, air, earth, fire, hello. And I really did like that they added a fifth element, which is the spirit. And of course, this element is forbidden because the unicorn thief is using this element, He is the element of the spirit. It is very, very powerful because it can mess with the bonds of the riders and the unicorns. So the school deemed this element way too dangerous. And of course, Skandar has this element, of course. So unfortunately, it just really wasn't for me. So unfortunately, I had to give this book a 2-star, which just made me very, very sad, especially because my mom chose this read. I, went up to her and I said, Mom, can you choose a middle grade for me? And she chose Skandar the Unicorn because she knows I absolutely love unicorns. They are my favorite mythical animal. So it was just perfect. And I feel so bad because my mom was a little bit sad that I didn't really enjoy this book, but it's not her fault. I still love unicorns. They are still my favorite, mythical animal. And I actually really enjoyed how they made it, a little bit different in the sense of while unicorns are actually dangerous, they're not the cutie, inoffensive and harmless creatures. No, I actually did enjoy how he made a twist on that, but unfortunately it just had some elements that didn't conquer me. And now let us go through my March TBR. So one of the books, I actually started it in February. I read half of it in February, but I couldn't, finish it in that month. And that is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I have the Portuguese version of this. And honestly, I'm not going to say too much about it because, of course, I will be talking about this when it's time for my March wrap-up. But it's a mixed feeling with this book because I do enjoy the school. I love the setting. I love the school. I love that we spend all of the time in there. I love how the school doesn't really have any teachers, doesn't have rules. Basically, you just have to survive because this school is surrounded by monsters. You have monsters trying to eat you every single day. And honestly, it's such a stressful environment because can you imagine just going, for your breakfast, going to the canteen, and you have to just check every single nook and cranny. You have to check the food. You have to check the tray. You have to check where you're sitting, the tables. You have to choose a very strategic place because it has to be close to exits or it cannot be close to certain corridors that are a little bit dark where you can't really see if a monster is lurking there. A lot of stress. Okay, a lot of stress. Even just having a normal bath and shower, you always have to have company because, the monsters they can sense and they can also see that you are by yourself, so you're just easy prey for them. Anyways, I just absolutely love that setting. I love that it's just always that tension, because there are always monsters lurking around. But the thing that I don't like, and the one thing that I'm a little bit iffy about, is actually our main character, Galadriel, or Elle. And the reason for this is because in the beginning, she starts as very annoying. She's very arrogant, and she does have a reason to be arrogant. And I don't really fault her for that because she does have a lot of magical powers, and that magical power is very dangerous because it's always related to death. So she has very dark powers, and she can absolutely decimate anyone if she wanted to, and she has to be very, very careful because she consumes a lot of mana, and accumulating a lot of mana is not easy. She does it by, a lot of physical exercise or just crocheting, just the effort of doing a new skill and having a new skill. That's how you can accumulate mana. But of course, she doesn't accumulate as much as she can spend with just one spell. So she does have to be very, very careful because of that. One thing that annoys me is how rude she is to everyone else. And in the beginning, it was so horrible. It was just so aggravating. Aggravating is the word, to see her mistreat everyone, especially one character here named Orion. He is one character that he's just the hero of the school. He's always trying to save every single student. He's always trying to protect everyone because for him, fighting these monsters, it's kind of easy. And that's actually how he accumulates mana, is by killing these monsters and then sucking their magical power. And of course, he does save Elle, I think 2-3 times right in the beginning of the book. And she gets annoyed by that. And it's understandable because she does want to show, because when you leave this school, you do have to join a group of people, or it's best if you do join a big group of people. I don't know how you say it in the English version. Enclave? Yep, I don't think it's that. It doesn't really sound that well, but let's just imagine, you know, because you do have here, like, a New York clan, if you will, and, for example, it's a very powerful clan. You do have a lot of people that have a lot of magical abilities, so if you do join these type of groups, you're gonna have an easy life. You're gonna have unlimited mana, because everyone is going to be contributing to this sort of, you know, just, oh, I'm forgetting the word. Why does this always happen? It's like, they accumulate mana in a certain storage, let's just say, and then everyone else can take a little bit, so you never run out of mana. For example, this is just one of the advantages of joining a clan, a magical clan, let's just say. And that's what she wants, you know, because she doesn't really have ties to anyone. She lived, you know, in a small town in Wales. Elle just wants people to notice her potential. But because Audien keeps saving her, she can't really show that, so I understand why she gets aggravated and angry at him and why she mistreats him so much, but it's so aggravating and frustrating to read from her point of view. But she does get better, and she is actually better, and she's starting to understand more about Audien. She's also trying to understand other people, and what I do like is that you do see her past, and now I understand why she is the way that she is. It's basically just a defense mechanism, so I am a little bit on the fence about this one, and I said I wasn't going to speak too much about it, and I just did. So basically, whatever. I'm just sorry, okay? And another book that I do want to read in the month of March, and I have started, but I've only reached page, I think, 70, is The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. I do have the Portuguese version. I actually got this from the library, and I do have, you know, my cute little bookmark. It's such a cute thing. And this book, I've only read 70 pages, so I can't tell you too much about it, but oh my god, the writing is gorgeous. I absolutely love this writing. I don't know what it is. It's just pulled me right in, because in this book, basically, we follow this young girl. She works at a bookshop with her father. The father owns the bookshop, and it's old books. So, you know, those books that you don't really see around, they collect those books and then they sell them to whoever wants to buy. Of course, it is a shop. Why am I explaining the concept of a shop to you? Anyways, moving on. And one of her hobbies is just reading about dead people. She loves doing biographies on dead people, on just reading very, very old books. And there's this very famous writer here, which is called Vera Winter, and she wrote one famous book that had 13 tales. The problem is, it only had 12. The 13th, you know, it was printed in the book, but the pages were in blank, so nobody really knows what the 13th tale is, and nobody actually knows the life of Vida Winter, because in every single interview, she always lies about her life. You know, she always makes up a new story, so she is a very mysterious writer. And one day, this writer invites our main character to go to her house and write a biography on her. And she's very confused, because she's like, I only write biographies as a hobby and of dead people. You know, I don't really like writing about people who are alive. So to her, it's going to be a very nice challenge. And I can already tell that Vida Winter is a very interesting character, because she's always lying, she's always hiding. And right now, she has decided to tell us the truth. And I think it's going to involve this mysterious 13th tale that nobody has ever heard about. So I am very, very excited for that. It just pulled me right in. I don't know what it is about the writing, the environments, the atmosphere. I can just feel the tension, because Vida Winter, you know, she wants to tell the truth, but you can also tell that it is very hard for her to remember her old life. And Vida Winter is not even her real name, so it's just lies upon lies upon lies, and I'm very excited to know what the heck is going on. And I do want to read classics this year, of course, so I'm going to be reading White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky here in this bind-up of the Notes from the Underground. As you can tell, I don't know if you can see, I do have two post-its that basically tell me where the short story of White Nights is. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of expectations for this one, because I've heard, you know, a lot of people do love White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. They say that it's one of his best works, but I've also seen other people saying that it's not really that special, that it is kind of overhyped, so I don't really know where I'm going to fall, but I do think I'm going to absolutely love White Nights. And the reason why is because from what I've seen, it talks a lot about dreamers, about dreams and goals and everything. I think aspirations in general is just two people that love to dream. It's just a story about two people who love to dream. And if that is the case, then I'm absolutely going to devour White Nights, because I'm a dreamer myself. I have so many dreams, so many aspirations, so many goals, and it's actually very, very hard to, I don't want to say it's hard to follow them. It's not. I put in a lot of hard work, but, you know, sometimes they just might not even come true. So, I don't know. I just think it's going to be something that I'm really, really going to enjoy. And lastly, I do want to read The Iron Crown, which, like I mentioned, this is the actual first book in the trilogy from the Citrine Key. So the Citrine Key is a prequel. It's a novella that comes before this. And actually, I don't know anything about this, and I actually don't really want to know, because all I need to know is that it has dragons. Like I said in the beginning, I love dragons, and I cannot wait to read this first book, because this is indie published, and I do really want to start, supporting more indie authors out there, because I just don't know, I just want to read more of what I want, and I want to read a little bit more spontaneously, and I've been doing that this year, and it's been such a rewarding experience, because it's kind of like I'm reading outside of the algorithm and not seeing the same books being recommended over and over and over again. So having the opportunity to read something that I haven't seen too many people talk about this is actually insane. And that is all for this video, guys. Please comment down below all of the books that you read in the month of February. What were your favorites? Have you read any of the books that I actually read? Please leave me all of your opinions down below. And please also tell me, what are the books that you're going to be reading for the month of March? Is it a good TBR? Is it not a good TBR? Have you read any of the books that I'll be reading this month? If so, please let me know down below what you thought. And please subscribe and like this video, because it helps my channel out a lot, and it gives me a lot of motivation and validation to continue filming these videos for you guys. And I will see you on my next video. Bye!